At this time, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you with bowed heads, humble hearts, and open minds. I pray that as we move forward to doing this city business for the people, that people do the same. I will ask that you would take out the hatred, the evilness out of me and others so that we all can disagree to agree. It's for the sake of our city, the sake of our children, and the future of us as a nation. Bless all the men and women in uniform, military, law enforcement, public safety in general. And I ask you to protect them, guide them, lead them, so that they can go on and do their business for us. These blessed acts in your Son named Jesus. Amen.
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 Next on the list, we have a determination of quorum. And determine we do have a quorum. Comments of council members, special recognitions, resolutions.
Mr. President, I have a couple.
Councilman Freeman.
I would like to ask Jackie Nings for if she could come to our October meeting. She's a member of the library board to give us an update on the library. What's her last name? It's spelled Nythes.
Nytes.
NY. Nythes.
T-H-E-S. Okay.
Nytes. There's no H.
NYT. Yeah.
There's no H.
Jackie
NYTES.
Needed,
Yes.
okay.
From the library board?
Yes.
Library.
And then I have a couple. The gentleman that was here discussing the stormwater that was at his address at 7620 East 49th Street, I spoke to Scott Sansbury at the Lawrence Utilities, and he gave me a follow-up sheet that everybody should be paying attention to. Lawrence Stormwater Management, it's like a complaint form.
Mhm.
And he wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that.
Is it on the city website? or
It's on the
anything?
city
Okay, it's
website
accessible now.
of the
Okay.
utility.
Okay.
And then I have another one. We have some sidewalks in my district that are in despair. And a lady, about 6 months pregnant, fell and hurt herself last night. And she was concerned about that. One is on Ledgeway Court, and the other one is on 6100 block on Carrington. And I emailed the information to Department of Public Works and the mayor's office, so they're aware of it. And then another lady, repainting of the street lines at the intersection of 59th and Lee Road. Those lines are not visible going all the way down to west and east of 59th Street. And then I know David Lotz has told me that the guardrail by the PX, we have called Indianapolis 3 times to have that repaired, and it has not been done. And also, I know we're doing budget talks right now, and I was concerned about the retirees' health care for the police and fire. And it's about the staffing that, stipend that they get at the end of the year, and then they send them a 1099. And that's it.
Okay. Any other councilors?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilor Wheeler.
I have 2 items to address. One, it's been brought to my attention by several residents in District 6 of the concern of the weight limit on Carroll Road from 86 to Pendleton Pike. At one point, they were told that there was a weight limit, and due to a lot of the construction, a lot of semis are being rerouted down that road, and they have a concern of if the road is too old for that and what problems will come about with having that much weight on that road. So if I want to let people know so we can work with administration and find out if there is a weight limit and what we can do to keep that street as pristine as possible. My second item is that it was brought to my attention about a town hall meeting on August 29th regarding not only the trails and money that may or may not have been granted for those trails in District 6, but also trail plans throughout the city of Lawrence. It was brought to my attention that it was confirmed by Mayor Collier, and they just wanted to express how excited they were about that meeting. And I know a few of my co-counselors plan on attending, and I'm just putting that out there for anyone else who would care to attend this town hall meeting of sorts to discuss trails in terms of budgeting, grants, and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Councilor Wells.
thank you. A couple items. Today, a gentleman expressed concern to me, and it's not in my district, but I didn't have time to talk to the appropriate counselor, but on Sunnyside Road by the sports complex, there is really tall, I guess you would call it weeds. It's not really grass. It's right, would be to the south of the complex, and then on the opposite side of the street, there's a construction, looks like a possible construction field, and it's also very tall as well. This gentleman asked me to express concern to the administration, so I'm doing so. My second concern is the 46th Street at Franklin Road. Is there anything in the near future that's going to happen with that? Is there someone from the administration maybe could shed a little light? Because one of the things that have come to my attention the last couple of days, by blocking off that street, there is an entrance into a complex of commercial buildings to the southwest of Franklin Road and 46th Street. And the only way for the semi-trucks to get into that complex, McAllister Machinery is one of the biggest tenants back there, and he makes deliveries with semi-trucks and trailers very often back into there. That is the only way in and out of there with a semi-truck. There is another entrance on Franklin Road. The last time a semi-truck tried to go that way, it took the telephone and the cable TV wires off of the telephone poles because the trailers were too high for the wires. Also, I believe that the CDC is also now the owner of that entrance, and they're not real sure if there's an egress that can even happen on that road, because the lady that owns the property says that the CDC has acquired properties on both sides of that little drive. So she's under the impression that CDC owns that. So we had a lot of concern. People call me and express concern about that being blocked off. It also, if you're going 46th Street and going east, now if anybody wants to go north onto Franklin Road, we're getting a traffic jam of the people that can't go south because of the people that are blocking the drive or the road to make a left turn. So I know the previous administration had like a town hall meeting at Franklin Road Park community building, and they had discussed that with the CDC, and sometime that's when they were talking about making it a 3-lane, I think it was, and the barricades that have went up now have done so without my knowledge, and when the people asked me what was going on, I told them it's just as much a surprise to me as it was to you. We got no forewarning. I don't know if Councilor Giles did it or not, but I didn't hear anything about it, and his district borders it as well as mine. So if there is something that's going to happen with that in the near future, I would certainly like to be made privy of it. And also I would ask the administration to take consideration into the fact that we have now blocked commerce onto 3 businesses that are in that southwest corner, and they can no longer get deliveries of semi-trucks. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. President,
Counselor Giles.
I would like to just kind of piggyback with Councilor Wells. I agree with you 110% on everything you've said about Franklin Road and 46th Street. I have received several calls from several constituents concerned with voicing those same concerns. They also voiced a concern besides the traffic and the issues. Folks understand that intersection has many challenges, and they understand the efforts and the reason that we kind of did what we did. But I do have constituents that were asking me, did I know anything about that? And I even had one particular constituent who did some research who interestingly brought to my attention, is it even legal for us to do this long-termly without council approval? Is it a tentative answer or not? So those are some of the questions that I feel we maybe need to have a town hall meeting or a special meeting here to invite the public in so that they can get those questions answered.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Counselor?
Two quick items.
Counselor
One,
Allen?
yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
we look alike. Yeah,
It's okay to have a sense of humor.
Yeah, someone's, yes. Just want to thank the controller for getting us a financial report in a very timely manner. Secondly, as in the past, I'm hopeful that when we start to approach the budget season, if we could schedule our finance committee meetings out between now and the end of, will be like the first week of November, given that there is a budget calendar in place, that way we can plan accordingly and not have it where we'll send something to committee and then 3 days later there's a finance committee. So a lot of the municipalities around us do this. In fact, I would also encourage that we plan committee meetings for the entire year. And if nothing's on the agenda, the committee meeting is just canceled. But at least we can schedule it on our calendars, and then the public can know so that in advance they can plan to be here.
Yeah.
So
Let's look at that.
that's my 2 points.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President, I have another one. I forgot.
Counselor Freeman?
I visit the Porter's Book and Bread store, and they're having problems with the parking in front of their building on Lawton Loop, where DFAS employees are parking and then walking over where it's not leaving them parking space for their customers. And also, they're cutting through the back part of the park and cutting through and speeding in the morning. It starts about 7:15 till about maybe 8:15. And the owner just wanted me to let the council.
You know what you can, the owner of that business, in part, needs to contact the executives over there at the finance center so they can put out a mass message with their employees, because I'm aware of what you're saying. They park there and they're there all day, and it's taken away from that the area around there now that is developing. So that's something else that they need to do, is contact them, and they would deal with it appropriately.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Okay, signing of the vouchers and approval of claims and authorization of payment. Is there a motion on the floor?
Make the motion.
Motion, Counselor Freeman.
Second.
Second, Counselor Wheeler. Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Any opposed? Unanimous. Approved to sign the vouchers and pay the bills. Unfinished business, resolution number 11, 2016. And that it was in the committee and council. Okay, so is there a report on resolution number 11?
Currently, no report on resolution number 11. I did, sir, send you a email requesting an extension on this on the finance meeting in regards to this resolution number 11, which I'm so thankful that you granted. Thank you.
I'm going to take it to the council and ask, is there any problem with extending this out for Councilor Giles? Is anyone opposed to that?
Do we have a date, though, when we're going to meet on this?
I don't have a date quite at this time. I spoke to the controller. I had spoke to the controller and the assistant controller a couple days ago, and I've been emailing back and forth with the economic developer to get on his calendar to meet with him, kind of in regards to this. And then coming from the meeting with them, I was going to schedule a meeting afterwards.
So it'll be you will have a meeting here at the what, really soon?
Soon, yes, because we need to have a finance meeting too, also to deal with some of the, with the budget stuff as well. So we
Okay.
can-
Isn't this in finance?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
okay.
Yep. Okay. Proposal number, okay. All right, since there's no objection, then we will go ahead and extend it out for 60 days with the hope that it'll be resolved soon.
Yes,
The meeting.
we'll have a meeting soon. We have other
Okay.
issues to address.
Okay, thank you. All right, proposal number 14, 2016. Clerk, Walton?
Proposal number 14, 2016, introduced by Councilor Jones, a proposal for an ordinance amending Title III, Article 2, Chapter 4, Section 4, Subsection A of the Municipal Code of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, with respect to no parking zones.
Okay, this was in committee as well.
Code Committee, yes, sir.
And any reports on this?
Yeah, the Code Committee unanimously recommended to approve to the full council for a vote to pass this amendment, and I'd like to ask Councilor Jones, if you will, Mr. President, to kind of give a brief overview of the proposal. That way, everyone is up to date on the
Okay.
amended version of the proposal.
Is that okay, Mr. President?
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Council Jones?
The way I read it, and the council president or the council attorney can overrule me if I'm wrong. On the street, about 80% of it is non-parking as it is. The problem is, when you read it, there's one section where you can park 114 feet, I believe, on the north side. Then you go down the road, and then there's an 80-foot section you can park on the south side. Then when you go down the road, there's a 60-foot section where you can park on the north side. And there's nothing marking where you can park or where you cannot park. So it's really hard for the people. Plus, we have people that are parking, that are working on that business on 46th Street. And when the semis come down Maury to make that turn to go to Brown's Oil, cars can't see it. And like I witnessed a couple months ago, I said in council meeting, there was an elderly lady, she was driving, and there was a truck there, and as the semi came around the corner, she's, kind of going pretty quick. I don't know if she's paying attention. All of a sudden, she slammed on her brakes, and it was almost a major collision. And she had to put in reverse and back up almost a quarter mile for the semi to get to the first street to make a left. So, the reason I proposed this was just to clean up the wording in it, because it's so hard to understand, as confusing as it is, and plus I think it creates a huge safety issue.
Yeah.
So,
In addition, it is double striped, correct?
yes,
The street, yeah,
and there's no berm.
yeah. Okay.
I will not overrule your comments.
Thank you.
All right.
Not having any power to, but plus it.
So is there a motion on the floor to pass proposal 14?
So
Do
moved.
you have to accept the amended?
This will be a motion to accept the amended version.
Right, and we do have an amended version. Everyone is aware of that, right?
Correct.
So this is a motion to accept the amendment. That's
The amendment with the language cleanup in reference to Councilor Jones' comments. Okay? So is there a motion on the floor to accept the amended version of proposal?
I'd make a motion to the amended proposal number 14.
All right. Motion made by Councilor Jones, second.
I'll second.
Councilor Allen. Any discussion further on this matter? Okay. By show of hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Proposal 14 goes into effect.
No.
Accepted the amended proposal. No.
You need to have a motion to adopt.
Okay.
I'll make a
All right.
motion to adopt.
So we have a motion on the floor by Councilor Chevlot to accept the adopted version. Second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Jones. Any discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries to accept. On the new business, consideration of council appointment to the USB. And my understanding is that, I'm going to ask our council attorney to explain what this is all about for the USV appointment.
As the city and the council is all aware, your clerk does a great job of tracking these things, and brought to the president's attention, as I understand, that one of the positions on the Utility Service Board that's appointed by this council, that term expires September 7th, and so this is your opportunity to nominate someone to fill that vacancy after September 7th, 2016. And I believe that you did have a vote on this in January. That was to fill out the remainder of the term. So now you're filling a 4-year term effective September 8th, 2016.
Okay. And everyone should have a little tab in front of you to submit the name.
One other point of clarification, just so everyone's aware, the way your ordinance reads, there can be no more than 3 members of a particular party on the Utility Service Board. I believe there are currently 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and the position that's coming open is a Democrat position. So to be in compliance with the ordinance, a Democrat should be appointed, should be nominated and appointed.
You open up for nomination.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to open up for nominations. This is fulfilling a Democratic position.
I'd like to renominate Terry Jingles for the position.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right. Terry Jingles.
Mr. President,
Council Wells.
I'd like to nominate Linda Treat.
Linda Treat. Okay. Anybody else? All right, so we have Terry Jingles and Linda Treat to fulfill the 4-year term on the USB board.
Please do sign your ballots too.
Check the box. I was about to do it next, too. So I got these extra.
Some election design. 6. There were 9 votes cast, 6 for Terry Jingles and 3 for Linda Treat. Terry Jingles is the council nominee that will go till September 7th, 2020.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Jingles. Comments of the administration?
President, I'll try to address a couple of questions that were asked earlier. Quite frankly, 46th and Franklin Road is problematic on a number of levels. Our response to block that road really raised up safety issues. We had a number of interview, public safety quality accident, where the gal ran the stop sign and ran a signal supply there. So our temporary blocking intersection is just that, it's an attempt to try to provide a safer environment over there. It is, however, presenting a traffic problem for us that we're trying to address, try to find a target is to maybe begin next summer. Can make no promises on we'll be able to do that, but if I resolve that, eventually we will be down to just one entry on the Franklin Road, probably closing off the westernmost railroad crossing to try to come back to the light there on 46th Street is one of the early proposals we saw. The engineering company that was working on that project was about 85-90% complete on design. That has eaten up most of the money that was allowed for that project. As you know, we lost federal funding for that project at the end of last year. So right now, we're trying to just get money here to be able to complete essentially 46th Street, just to the north of that, all the way to Hilton Pike. Carroll Road is a county line road. There is no existing weight limit on Carroll Road. Generally speaking, we have somebody come out there and do with a lot more background than I on road and what road can handle. I know because of the increased traffic, we are looking at what that road can handle and what the impact of the semis will be on that road. As a general rule, weight limits are posted. So if there's nothing posted, then there is no weight limit, on the road. Not necessarily the best way to go about that. The reality is that's the way that NDOT, the federal highway, and so on handle weight limits on that. So I'll have to wait and get your information on that when I get myself in there. The sports complex vegetation, those lots I believe are owned privately, commercially. They're commercial lots. It's their responsibility to clean up those lots. We have sent them a number of different reminders to keep their lot cleaned up. They tend to kind of ways out, from the, we get really frost, and leaves die down. So, I believe, ideally, we'd have to actually develop that property out there, so that's one of the goals certainly. But they are commercially owned lots, so you really have to be controls of them just to, especially if the vegetation doesn't restrict view. If we do see more vegetation restricting view, then we can ask them and force them to cut down to an ordinance violation. The paving of the road, I don't know if the answer to that right now. It's the first I've heard of that, so I'll try to find that for you, when that road out there. And anything to do, if you have a question about CDC properties, that is Chris Barnett. CDC is a separate entity against the government. They control their own properties in there, so that would be the person to contact to find out what their disposition of properties are.
Perfect. Mr. President, I have two.
Crossing signs are in.
Thank you.
If you could give Mr. Locks a call, maybe if you're, whatever time works best for you, show him where you want, take him to.
Okay.
I have two follow-up questions, if you don't mind, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I check in with your office perhaps in 2-3 weeks for essentially a progress update or progress report about the Carroll Road? Did you say you're currently looking into that?
I should know, Councilman, I should know that by the next council meeting, so, but you're certainly welcome to call whenever I find out. I've got your email.
Yes, sir.
I find out what the disposition on that is.
Perfect. And my second question is, I know you are aware of that town hall meeting on August 29th. Can I confirm your attendance? That is a major question among a lot of residents up there.
And I'll certainly be there, but
Perfect.
the concerns I have about the next door posting is so much on the 75th Street Trail. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, so from what I understand, I've been speaking with a few different people, and there's a lot of misconception currently about what money we have on all of that. So I think that's just one of those misconceptions or fact or whatever it is that just needs to be addressed
I'm looking
in the
forward
public.
to meeting because there, as you said, there are a lot of misconceptions.
Perfect.
Out there, but the thing that's most, I suppose, disconcerting to me is this mention of the 75th Street Trail. I don't have any knowledge whatsoever of the 75th Street Trail.
Okay.
We do have a 2009 study that's certainly out of date about trails throughout the city of Lawrence. We're going to probably have somebody come in next year to actually look at the entire city and prioritize trail.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, please. Yeah, I don't want you to get all the way back. You mentioned that the Franklin Road project, are you referring to the previous administration's idea of making that a 3-lane from the railroad tracks to the pike?
Hanson is the engineering company that was designing that project. Hanson has a are thinking about what Franklin Road will do, before we make any decisions, we would have to have probably more than one public meeting, have input from the citizens before we go forward with anything. It is, I have to keep reiterating this, it is dramatically underfunded right now. So we're looking at trying to find in the neighborhood of $1 million to fund that, the remainder of that project there. So I would be misleading you to tell you that we can get it done next year. We've done some things that we think may be able to get done quicker. It'll take some creativity, quite honestly, to get it done. Once we have that money in place and can actually give the go-ahead to the project, then before we do that, we will have a number of public meetings, get input from the citizens that this will most affect out there.
I'm a little confused, though. You said that the design was costing or has absorbed most of the money so far. If the citizens are, opposed to whatever this design may be, I mean, it seems like the cart before the horse thing, that maybe we should find out what the people that live around there want before we design something they don't want.
Design is a lot more than just the road. Design, you have to look at right-of-way acquisition, which is actually the biggest hurdle to get over before you begin building a road. Once you have the ability to actually build a road, which is a very expensive part, then you get to thinking about the kind of road you want to put in there. So the design will be generally just an overview of it. It's a straight road. I mean, there's not a lot you can do with it as far as widening it or free road, 3 lanes or 4 lanes, whatever it is. That's something that you can change once you have the actual design in place. The right-of-way acquisition on Franklin Road is tough, as you know, Councilor Wells and Councilor Giles. If you're handicapped at all or disabled, there are utility poles right on the sidewalk you can't get one way or the other. When it was put in many years ago, we were fully designed in the first place. The road actually allows for travel to be too fast on that road, particularly during times of low traffic late at night. We have a couple of unfortunate situations and accidents that occur because of that happening. The railroad has a ramping effect. When the railroad came in many years ago, they raised the railroad, created a ramping effect. So if you're going much faster than 10 miles per hour, you can get airborne over that. So it will involve, one of the big improvements that we're going to demand is that ramping effect is taken out. That means raising both sides of the road bed. So you can actually see it there. So unfortunately, it's an expensive project to do well.
Is there something that could be done on the short term or the somewhat immediate term, though, for the inconvenience of blocking this street off?
I think we need to have the business owners come in and talk with us, and it would involve talking about sort of traffic control, would involve certainly members of our police department. We actually went out there before we ever blocked it off and kind of talked to Lawrence Township schools and other, our fire department to see if that would restrict their ability to get down Washington Street. They were certainly okay with blocking it off and use that road anyway. So, right now, it's just to provide a safer environment out there. So we will need to have it with the business owners. And certainly, that whole area will change dramatically with Franklin Road improvement project.
Well, I would assume that you are familiar with the drive that is on the east side of the railroad tracks that goes back into that complex of commercial buildings. Like I said earlier, it definitely has dramatically hampered the people back there, and especially there is no more semi-trailer access to that property. That was the only way to get in and out of there.
Yeah, we'll need to talk with them and design workarounds.
Yeah, Edith Boring is the lady that owns that, and I would, she's like, she's in her 80s, I think, and she's had some health issues. I don't know that she could come in. Maybe someone from the city could.
Come in, she can call or email, whatever it is, and we can find out some answers for her.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to physically come in.
I'll talk to her and see if I can get her to do that, because she leases these properties to, these different businesses. One other real quick thing, if I may. I have tried to get this situation with the meeting you and I spoke about. I think it would be easier if we could work around maybe your schedule and Indy Humane, if the two of you could give us a time or a date, maybe one or two.
Working here on my schedule, Council Wells, going to be stuck for the next 4 or 5 weeks. I could give you a date, and if it doesn't work out, I don't have a whole lot of flexibility certainly next 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
So it may be a matter of having more than one meeting with fewer people involved in there, so when they're availability. Indy Humane was out with Camp Stars last week, and they are interested in also in the vacant lot that's right across from the old CDC building. They may have a building over there, so that's an update.
Okay, if you can come up with a date so these people can meet, if, you know, in the near future, whenever that may be. I keep getting, you know, people asking me, everybody has a different idea of a different date, and really it all, you know, as you just said, your calendar is probably more full than anybody else's, so.
And that's just, it's just the time of the year, Council Wells, it's my calendar got full and hurry, so, budget process is never an easy time right now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. President?
Oh.
I want to ask the mayor something.
Mr. Mayor?
There's your exercise.
One more question.
I just wanted to say thank you to your secretary for getting back with me on those 4-foot orange markers that seems to be causing a problem in our city. She gets back with me.
Every place I go, I see you, so you look out for our audience. Thank you for that.
Mr. President,
Councilor Allen?
we're working your Fitbit out, man. We're getting your steps in. Question, earlier you mentioned that we lost federal funding for the Franklin Road project. Could you kind of elaborate on why that happened?
I'll make this as short as possible. In the scoping and ranking of the project, the Federal Highway Commission felt like there was that was done incorrectly, and so they pulled the plug on it. NDOT that passed it on. That happens pretty regularly, but the federal funding was off, that was about $500 million. And without giving you too much detail, making any accusations and so on, it was to the point where federal was making very rarely do that, getting angry about it.
Okay. And then the engineering firm is Hanson?
Yes.
Okay.
They weren't, by the way, they're not involved, they weren't involved at all.
Okay. Because I know that previous administration did hold, several, town forums and, to get some feedback and input from, members of the community as well as businesses, and they were in full support of it. In December, something to the tune of like $345,000 was put into the till to finish the design work on that. It was my understanding that the city would be reimbursed 90% of that, if not 100%, so that didn't happen. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And wear that Fitbit next time.
I just want to say, Chief Hoffman, look good on TV, Chief. And thanks for looking to make sure our men and women in the uniform are safe as well as our citizens. We're tracking. All right, next one is adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Council
second.
Williams, second, Council Freeman. Third. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. We are adjourned.